We're marching on to freedom land. We're marching on to freedom land. God's our strength.
Don't think of the Civil Rights Movement and Black History Month as something outside of you. My dear friend, Black History Month merely brings up an issue that is your issue as well, which is, are you equal? This is the most important gift you've been given, which is your own equality, your own place in life. And it is the place that you're expected to maintain throughout your life, through adulthood, knowing who you are, what you've come to contribute, and what you have a right to, and what you have a right to contribute is the most important gift you have in your life.
Perhaps no one better understands that gift than Dr. Melba Pattillo Beals. At the age of 15, this trailblazer was one of 9 African-American students chosen to integrate the all-white Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas.
I passed by that school as a baby and saw that school was huge and beautiful and mine was not. And I wanted the resources it offered me because the students from that school went to the top universities in the world.
But her hopes of attending Central High School were met with oppression and terror.
First day I went to Central High School, it was an incredible mob that threatened to hang me, my mother, and all of us. A mob that did get close to Elizabeth Eckford and, of course, spat all over her. So there was ugliness there.
Multiple attempts to safely enter the school and stay in classes were unsuccessful, due in part by the illegal segregation orders by Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus. First, the Arkansas National Guard prevented the students from entering Central High. Violent racists traveled in from the South to Little Rock to stop the integration at all costs. Then the local police were overpowered by the growing mob of hateful protesters. The escalating violence took an emotional toll not only on the students, but their parents as well.
Yes, they suffered terribly. They made a sacrifice. They worried about us daily. Sometimes they had to come to school and they risked their own lives to come and get us.
Little Rock was out of control and in crisis, a true state of emergency. President Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne to restore order and ensure the safety of the students. The armed soldiers drove the Little Rock Nine to and from Central High and escorted them through the protesting crowds and into Central High School. This was a welcome reprieve for the parents, so much so they jointly sent a telegram to the White House to thank the president. But for the students, troubles continued inside the school, despite the presence of the soldiers who escorted them to their classrooms and stood guard outside the classroom door.
We found out after the first couple of days there that it was going to be difficult.
The white students who were friendly to the black students were also met with hostility from others.
So there were people in there who had souls and who would have done it differently. But whenever they tried to do it differently, they too were threatened and mistreated.
So how did this 15-year-old find her way to endure the heartbreaking persecution? She received life-changing words of wisdom from someone who related completely to her struggle. It was Dr. Martin Luther King.
I met him a couple of times, and on the first time I met him in Mrs. Bates' basement, all 9 were sitting there, and I was just whine. And he said, Melba, you are not doing this for yourself. Don't be selfish. You're doing this for generations yet unborn.
To fight her fears, young Melba received spiritual guidance from her grandmother.
From the very beginning of my life, I was taught the Bible, made to repeat Bible verses, always told that God is with me.
The teen recorded her fears and pleas to God in her daily journal. Decades later, Dr. Melba Pattillo Beals included many of those journal entries in her best-selling book, Warriors Don't Cry.
That is a book which tells you what happened in Central High School once I was inside, day by day. And it explains to you the process one goes through in one's head when you are being, as a child, Certainly you don't think of death or attack or any of that as being something that is in your face now. And what that did was to teach me that it is in your face now. And it really made me alert and gave me strength that I exhibit today.
Her first-person historical account from Warriors Don't Cry became a part of the social studies curriculum for middle and high schools around the country. It also launched a healing journey for Dr. Beals.
I found release. I found the privilege of peace. I found a feeling of freedom. It did a lot for me. Friends said it took 10 years off my face. Wrinkles left because I had all that inside of me and I had to let it out.
Her inspirational message channeled through in her next book, March Forward Girl.
I wrote this book, March Forward Girl, to inspire anybody who is in a situation that they don't want to be in. And if you're really little and you're really young and you're in a hideous, hideous spot, okay, hang in there and do your best and you will get out. I don't know, because I came from 1940 Little Rock and there was nothing more hideous than that, nothing. The Ku Klux Klan used to ride every evening and hang people in my neighborhood, so I certainly do understand. I, for example, said and saw a young man who had been our handyman hanged in the rafters of my church when I was 5. But my grandmother said he's going to be with God. God is here now. God is taking care of us. This whole situation, we've not been harmed because God protected us. In other words, she injected, in some ways, fate and the hand of God into everything that happened to us. She said, nothing happens unintentional. And all of this is for a reason. And by doing that, she painted a picture that was positive no matter how negative it got to be. And I write about how it felt to be this little girl who suddenly discovers that she's not accepted. She can't ride. I got on the front of the bus. I know you couldn't ride. I got knocked off. Can't drink at the water fountains. No, you can't. Can't go to the white lady's bathroom, even though yours isn't there in the building.
The empowered writer shares her moving story of building faith under fire in her next memoir, I Will Not Fear.
I Will Not Fear is the third of the trilogy, and that sort of encapsulates my life. It tells you how I've made it through my life by the hand of God. You know, love is the answer. Any of you who believe that fighting, calling names, commenting on people is the answer to any problem you have, you're incorrect. Love is always the answer. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything. Observe what's going on. Sometimes we think we're the solution to problems, and God has the most magnificent solution waiting for us.
Melba Pattillo Beals.
God has brought me a long, long way and kept all the promises that my grandmother made on his behalf. She said, be patient. God is with you, and he sees your need. And so I see that equality that I hoped for and prayed for and begged for.
Today, Dr. Melba Pattillo Beals is the chair of the Communications Department at Dominican University in San Rafael, California. And as a civil rights educator and speaker, she inspires students worldwide.